Welcome to Maiden Mother Crone 333, a podcast with intentions to create a safe, sacred space of open discussion as a free resource on spiritual topics for awakened souls in a healing, helping, and guiding practice. Disclaimer: this podcast is for spiritual, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It is not meant to substitute medical care, psychological, financial, or legal counseling. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about healing. What is healing? What does it mean when somebody says they're on a healing journey? And what does it mean when somebody says they are a healer? And what are all the aspects of healing? So we're going to make it a quick one because there's a lot to cover, but I feel like it's all kind of together. For being on a healing journey, when you're awakening, when they say that you're on a healing journey during this awakening process, is because you are, like we were talking about, your identity and looking at who you are and how you fit into this world. You're looking back at your past experiences that you've had, and you are using the new information that you're bringing in to look at those past experiences in a new way. And so you are healing parts of yourself. You're going through like rehashing some of your old traumas. And this is the part that kind of sucks. Like when they talk about going through the dark night of the soul and stuff, it's because you're going back and you're looking at things now totally differently. You're having grace for yourself. And you're seeing the way that other people have treated you, how you've treated other people, how you've loved yourself, how you haven't loved yourself, and you're coming to terms with everything that you've been through in your life. And so as you're on this path of awakening, you are also on a healing journey because you weren't doing it in the moment. You weren't doing the healing work in the moment and giving yourself that space and grace. So you're going back and seeing how it has affected you and how you're carrying it forward. And once you kind of heal those pieces and you're moving on, you're moving forward, and you're saying, I understand how that has affected me, and I'm going to change my thoughts and my behavior as I move forward in these new ways. And healing, your healing journey is really, it's layered like an onion. We were talking about this earlier, because things are going to come up for you and you're going to say, oh yeah, I healed the hell out of that. Hell yeah. Like I'm done with that. And then like a year later, like something comes up and you're like, oh man, I thought I was done with this. But here it is coming up again. And it's because you're in a new space where you can deal with it in a new way, and heal even more from it. That being said, this is just my personal opinion. Um, and I'm sure Kari and Hope can say how they feel about it. When they're talking about a healing journey in that sense, um, I feel like at some point it does end. When somebody says, like, you're on a healing journey forever, yeah, you're always going to have stuff that comes up and challenges you. But there is a point, I feel like there's a cutoff point here where you say, I've done the most challenging work and now I move on and I live my life in a new and different way. I'm not dragging all this baggage with me anymore. And yeah, things will come up and they'll challenge you. But I truly believe personally for myself that like my healing journey is like I've done the healing work that I've needed to do, that I've done, and now I'm just moving forward with my life and I deal with things as they come up. So when somebody says you're on a healing journey forever, I've heard other spiritual people say that. I'm like, nah, I disagree. Because I think that there is a point where you actually get to start living your life as a enlightened soul, as a spiritual being, without dragging all of that stuff with you. That's when we're talking about a healing journey, that's what I think it is. Kari, Hope, anybody have anything to add here?
Hope, you can go first if you have something to say. If
Mm.
not, I will.
No, go ahead. I don't yet.
Okay. In Roxanne, I agree with you on that, where I think I would explain it like you do a lot of intense healing all at one time. And I think that that's where, we're getting that dark night of the soul um like term from, because it's a very heavy experience. I do think that we will heal for our entire lives. I do think that there will always be things that are going to come up, triggers that are going to happen, whatever. I think we'll always be on a healing journey. I think that that might be part of why we're human and why we're here. But I think that our healing journey is like there's this huge chunk that is intense, and it's like once you come out of that experience, then it's like you were saying, you get to finally just kind of like live life, and then things are going to pop up here and there that you might be like, oh, I didn't fully heal that the first time. So you might, 2 years down the line, something triggers a little chunk of, what you thought you already dealt with, but everything's kind of given to you in little bite-sized pieces that you can handle. Even in the moment though you're like, I can't handle this, you can, like, you come out on the other side, but in the moment it feels like a lot. Yeah, and there's a million tools for healing, so I don't even know if we want to go that route at the moment. Of course, therapy was my biggest helper. Reiki was super helpful, even just energy healing in general. There's so much EMDR, EFT, all of it. Meditation, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about, I would like to talk about all that stuff and just talk about what there is and other types of healing that people can do. But to say that you're like on your healing journey, or people are talking about my healing journey, it is really just taking a look at where you've come from, like while you were sleeping, because you're awakening and you're like, oh man, I experienced all this stuff, and now I kind of have to deal with it face to face, even though it happened in the past, and change the way that you do things as you move forward. Anything to add, Hope?
I just think this is a really loaded topic, and it can go into so many different areas and avenues. But yeah, when I think of a healing journey or my healing journey, it's just about growth. To me, it's just about my independent growth, my psyche, my self-awareness, going inward, connecting to who I am on a soul level. Um, just really growing as a soul, my soul's purpose and why I'm here. And it's not always easy, and it can be difficult. But when we work on ourselves, it is difficult because we have to look at maybe areas where we need to change, develop, and grow. We're just always striving to become that better version of our soul, not just ourself, but of our soul. And so I feel like, my healing journey has been just really going inward and looking at who I am as a soul, as a person, my purpose for being here, and wanting to let go some of things, I'm saying things, and that's for lack of a better word, that have inhibited my own personal growth, or who I am as a person. So it's a lot of acceptance. It's a lot of letting go. It's a lot of looking at where the source of a lot of, the pain and traumas and the healing needs to come in, and knowing that it doesn't have the power and control over your life that you do, and you can heal and move through it. I just feel like this is a very in-depth, deep topic, and it's different for everyone. Everyone heals and looks at their healing journey different than anyone else, because it's based on your own personal experience and what it is your soul needs to go through to be enlightened, to grow.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I love that. It's true. I feel like some people, I mean, we could talk about toxic spirituality, but you have some people who are like, oh, I'm just love and light all the time. Like, you don't
Yeah.
get to be love and light until you go through like your healing journey, because, and you can't be love and light all the time. That's not how we're made as humans. But, people are like, oh, I don't want to bring up the past. I've heard people say this literally, talking about spiritual stuff, where they're like, I don't want to bring up the past because I feel like that's just low vibe, and I don't want to be low vibe. I want to be high vibe. And I'm like, girl, you got to deal with the low vibe stuff from the past, and you have to integrate all of that and make peace with like the demons, with the darkness, and bring it up and deal with it. And then you can change. That's the part, is it's like, it's not necessarily that you are rehashing it all just to go through it like therapy or whatever. even like when you're cleansing a house, when you're cleansing your body, when you're cleansing your soul, that's what this is. It's a cleansing. It's a deep cleansing. Your intention is to go in there and change the energy that's in there from being that like traumatic, low vibe, dark energy to being like a good vibrational energy. And so when I'm cleansing my house, the same thing. I go through my house and I'm changing the energy that's there. I'm not like scooted out the window, you know, because it's not like a separate thing. Everyone's like, open your windows when you cleanse. Like, no, you're not. Anyways, you're changing the energy. You have the ability to change the energy because you are energy, you know. And Kari's laughing because I feel like you know where I'm coming from with that. But that's what I feel like the healing journey is in the soul. We are cleansing our souls. That's what it is. And there are so many different ways to cleanse, like Kari was talking about with the Reiki, with the meditation, with the energy healing. And some people, we know immediately when we come to the earth, like we know that our job here is to be a healer. That's when you are an immediate empath and you're attracted to people who are broken, who are hurt, and you want to fix them. Like you know that you're a healer. And a helper or something along those lines. So you tend to get sucked into that role of taking care of everyone else all of the time and martyring yourself. And so when it comes to your healing journey, when you finally step up and say, hey, wait, I matter too. Like I need to save myself. You have a lot of stuff to unpack in there. And the healing, figuring out how you're a healer, because there's so many different ways to be a healer. You could be a therapist. You could be a Reiki person. You could be a teacher. You could be so many different areas of like, what is your specialty and how do you be a healer? How do you affect other people's lives, you know? So it's looking at that too. But I don't know, do you guys want to talk about the different types of healing that there are? Because Kari does Reiki.
There's so many different
Yeah.
types of healing.
Yeah, I think Reiki, I've never had Reiki done. I do need to make an appointment. A spirit keeps telling me to make an appointment with Kari to get Reiki done. But that is like, it's an energy. What do they say? It's the energy source or something.
Yeah, universal life force energy. So it's the energy that is channeled from the universe, and it just, I imagine like a conduit inside of me, and the energy flows inside of it and then comes out of me. So I'm not absorbing that energy. My energy is not intertwining with it, and I'm not taking the energy on from the other person. It's just pure like healing. I have to put that in quotations for legal purposes. I don't know. But it really is just like integrating a different frequency into the person's body and releasing trauma that they have carried, or emotions. Just you bury all of that in your body, even if you get scared and you just gasp and everything tightens up. That's now like encoded in you. And if you're in a car accident or fall down the stairs, like just whatever, that trauma is trapped within your body, whether it's physical, emotional, and Reiki helps cleanse that out of you and create space for healing.
Yeah, I've seen too, like the somatic, is it called somatic yoga? I think where you're moving the energy that's trapped in the specific places of the body. So I've been trying to do some of that myself and like moving body parts in a certain way to like release some of the energy. The energy healing that I do is similar to what you're talking about, like it's channeling the white light down through me, through my heart, and out of my hand. So I'm not taking anything on. I'm just pouring energy through me, and I'm not giving any of my own personal energy. I am pulling like universe energy, God energy, if that's what you want to call it, through me to pour into the other person. And every person has a blueprint in their body for their healing. Spirit, your soul, your spirit knows what needs healed, what can be handled to be healed at the time. Because if you do too much healing, it could really like make you sick, I think. So you can only heal like certain pieces or little bits at a time, but your body knows what it can handle, your soul knows what it can handle. So you can do that. There's obviously like talk therapy is healing, and that's letting things out, it's releasing things. I feel like other parts of healing that I did when I first started awakening were going through my chakras and just aligning myself with them, figuring out what they are, like what are affirmations for each of them. I would spend some time sitting with them, feeling what they feel like in my body, in the areas of my body, feeling my own energy, and that kind of stuff. So, and feeling what your vibration, what your frequency is. You can know like where you're at, I feel like, in your healing journey by knowing how you're feeling. But what am I leaving out? You were talking about EFT. What's that? Is that the tapping?
Yeah. There's just a million types of healing. I honestly don't know if we can pinpoint all of them, because obviously any like physical movement is healing, nourishing your body properly is healing, hydration. EMDR is where you have the buzzers and you revisit trauma mentally so you don't have to speak about it again. And the buzzers, they buzz opposite of each other, which then helps like stimulate, it's something in your brain that helps process the information. Because when you're traumatized, your brain really just wants to reason it or process it. And a lot of times when we have negative experiences, there's no explanation for it. So it gets stuck and we can't allow it to cross over basically. And the EMDR helps that. And then EFT does a very similar thing with the tapping. It basically stimulates the crossing of information in your body. But yeah.
I think just healing frequencies too. I mean, like you said, there's so many, but I just want to give folks an idea of like when you're going on your healing journey, because it can be really intense at first. Like we were saying, they call it the dark night of the soul because it sucks, it's hard. And to give you some ideas of things that you can try to release some of that energy or to get you through it, to cope with it, some resources, some things that can help, because there are things out there that can help that's healing. I think the healing frequencies, like you can literally go on YouTube and look up healing frequency and it'll be like that spa music, that's playing. So you can put that on in the background and that's helped changing the vibrations that you're in and kind of lifting yours a little bit. There's just meditations. You can do guided meditations. I feel like those are healing. You can do like healing meditations. There's what is it? What's the app that we use called it's the bowl. It's like I don't know. I have an app that I use. What is it? Let me look.
Insight timer.
Yes, the Insight Timer app. It's a free app for meditation, and stuff like that. But, it's not, we're not being paid to promote it. But they have like guided meditations on there. You can look up healing meditation. So you can really try to do some of this energy work yourself, especially when you're going through the actual healing journey, because it can be heavy on your heart and soul. But trying to do some of that work on your own, moving some of that energy around. Or going to a practitioner, a Reiki person, a therapist, somebody, look those people up, go to a salt cave. They have like salt caves you can sit in, that kind of stuff.
Readings are healing.
Absolutely.
Sound bowls, massages, lymphatic drainage, all the things. Hope, do you have anything to add? Are we missing anything?
No, you guys pretty much covered it. You named a couple, or I had like 3 of them, but you ladies named them. So, so we're good. I think there's so many out there. The list is endless. So.
Well, I didn't know about half of them, as I was going through this stuff. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, this sucks. But to have like at least like, I think that we really should start like a file, a PDF, like a resource list that we can put out for people, so that they can find resources, that we found helpful, for us. I don't know.
Yeah, there were a lot of books I found helpful.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of reading, a lot of apps or internet sites or classes like, fellowships had classes, Angie had classes that we could take, that kind of stuff. Even just being in the energy of other people and finding your tribe or talking to other people about this stuff is super healing. Because when you're on your healing journey and you're experiencing this stuff, you feel so alone. And you're like, nobody could ever understand, what I'm having to deal with right now or going through. And getting like your getting in tune with your clear senses on top of that, like we were talking about, you feel like you're going a little bit nutty because you're like, oh, now I'm seeing things. Like, oh, great. Not only am I like experiencing, reliving my trauma, but now I'm seeing things. So, you know, oh, I'm
But
getting chills at you.
it's really funny though, because when I reflect back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a terrible experience. It was such a hard time for me. But when my family talks about it, they have like a totally different view. Like they truly saw it as just this very like beautiful transformational experience for me, and how much of a changed person I am all around. Like it I got out of fight or flight mode, and I was just less anxious. And you guys know, but I have two children, and they have a pretty significant age gap. And my oldest daughter likes to sometimes bring up when her sister does something, she'll be like, oh, if I did that when I was her age, like I would have been grounded. And, and I'm like, I'm sorry that you did not get like the healed, rational mother version that I now am. So it's interesting, I guess, to see how we feel in the moment and how like other people perceive what we went through, really.
That is interesting. To think about. My family, I torture them all the time because I'll put things like affirmations on the mirror and be like, everyone needs to say these every day. And they're like, whatever, Roxanne. So I try to get their energy right. Or if somebody's having a day, I'm like, come on in, let's cleanse your energy. And they're like, no, I don't want to. Like, get away from me. And I'm like, oh, come on, we need to cleanse this off of you. They accept me. They love me for who I am, but that's the other thing. Just one more thing. I think we're about done here. But as you go through your healing journey, and this is important because Spirit just gave me like a thing about it and made my tone like, as you're going through your healing journey, as you are changing your energy and your vibration, you are coming up. People around you are going to feel that. And so they might be having some reactions to you. Some people might be like very supportive and like wonderful. Like Kari said, her family's like, we just saw this beautiful transformation. Some people might see you going through this and feel that vibrational change from you, and they don't want to change. They don't want you to change because they like you being not awake. They don't want you to change your mind. They don't want you to change your energy. They don't want you to put boundaries into place. So whenever you are vibrationally changing, some people, you might feel some pushback on that, and some people might not like it. They might fall out of your life. They might disappear from your life. If that's the case, trust that that is the way that it is meant to be. Because as you change, people around you are forced to change as well. Their energy has to match yours, or else they're not going to be comfortable with you anymore. So keep that in mind. If you're feeling uncomfortable around people, there's a reason why. It's because they're not ready for it. They don't want it. And whether or not you're actively, you don't have to tell them that you're going through a healing journey. They just feel it. They know the energy is different from you. So it's not even anything that you're speaking out loud or them thinking like, oh, this person's a nutty now, they're going on their healing journey. You don't even say it out loud. They just feel it. And they're no longer comfortable in your energy because your energy is vibing higher. It's growing. It's getting better. And they're like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. They step away. But then you have, like we were talking about, the soul people that come in, their energy's a vibration match to yours. And they're like, hey, this person feels good. And so then you get on a wavelength with certain people. So know that that is something that happens during your healing journey without you even speaking it out loud. Yeah, everybody's nodding. Okay, great.
Yep,
But
I
also,
agree.
I do feel like you kind of become a beacon at the same time, and be aware that you're also going to attract some more damaged people along the way too. So just be aware of that, that not everybody new that comes into your life is this energy match. Not everybody wants to heal, even though they say they want
Yeah.
to. Use your discernment.
Yeah, it's hard to use your discernment sometimes, especially when you know you're a healer and you know you're a helper. and you're trying to set those boundaries on your healing journey. It's knowing what's the right amount of energy to give someone, and when do you cut them off and say, you know what, you're not helping to heal yourself, so I'm not helping you heal anymore. That's a big part of the healing journey for me that I had to go through. But like Kari said, you're going to attract people who want to be healed. They say, I want to be healed, and they're not willing to do the work. They just want you to do the work for them, and you can't. So you have to be, ready to cut that off if that's the case. And that's happened a few times for me. It sucks and it's hard, but they have to do the work. You can't. Anyways, a healing journey is super wonderful and fun, and you should totally do it. You talk about how much it sucks.
That's
Well,
funny.
laugh about it. It's super wonderful and fun, and you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer, yeah. Yeah. So if you guys ever have any questions, absolutely put them in the comments. We will respond to questions, comments, anything that you have. We're just trying to give some general information and be a resource for people to know that this is normal if you're experiencing this stuff. So this is just a brief overview of what you can expect to experience, and we can go into more details and talk about specific things if people want to do that. Do we have anything left to say about the healing journey before we wrap it up here? No? Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. We leave that with you with love and light.